Hey guys, this is the second episode of the Big Buck Blueprint with Buckmasters, and today we're super excited to be talking to Dalton. Hey Dalton, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing good. So Dalton, let's tell them where you are right now. Where are you from?
Um, I'm in Central Ohio, just south of Columbus, if you guys know where that's at.
Super familiar. I
Oh
go to
yeah.
work in Cincinnati often.
Oh,
So
cool. Yep, I
yeah.
go to Cincinnati a lot. I'm a big Bengals and Reds fan. So
Oh, rightfully so after the year they had last year.
yeah,
Bengals, I mean. Yeah, that's awesome.
Long way from South Alabama.
yeah.
And
Very.
just to introduce it to you, I'm Cody Hall again with Buckmasters, and this is Allie, Alyssa, however you want to call her,
Okay.
kind of however you want. But yeah, we're super excited about this episode. This is a deer that is kind of hitting social media. I've seen it all over.
Me too.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy. Ain't it crazy how you kill one deer and it's like
All of a
Yeah,
sudden
all of
I
a
you
sudden
never
post
everybody wants to talk to you. Hey man, how can I talk?
somewhere.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
It's been cool though. I've liked it so far. I mean, this buck, I didn't honestly expect it to get this much attention, but just with him being so unique, I feel like that's why. I mean, he's
Oh,
just
for
so
sure.
different.
Yeah, and we would definitely get into it, but let's make the listeners, watch to the end or listen to the end rather. So we'll definitely stay tuned. At the end of it, we'll be showing the rack. It is very impressive. It has this formation on the right side that's just I can't even explain, but you'll hopefully be able to explain a little better, and then we'll be able to go over the score and the whole gist of it. But as we do with these podcasts, just Dalton, if you can, just kind of break down again who you are. I know you said where you're from, but what do you do for a living? What's your day to day, Dalton?
So my parents own a underground electric company. Well, we work for a electric company, so we do all their underground stuff. So basically if there's like a pole overhead, we put it underground for them and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
basically a lot of like excavation, directional drilling or boring, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And we're a small company, but that's my day to day. Other than that, I have a girlfriend. We do a lot of stuff together. We like to travel and go places. I'm really into snow skiing. I have a truck that I mess with a lot.
Yeah.
And honestly, though, I mean, deer season's year round for me.
Yeah.
I'm
Did you
always
grow up in
prepping.
Ohio?
Yeah, so I literally live in the same spot I have my whole life. So it's
Oh, that's
kind of
so
nice,
cool.
but
Let's
that's
go.
why I like to get out and go different places to get away sometimes. But
Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
How
yeah,
old are you?
24. Yeah,
24.
I honestly kind of forget sometimes. The other day
Yeah.
someone asked me and I was like, okay, I need to
Uh,
remember that.
Same. So guilty of that. Well, cool.
directional boring. So that's I don't know. I've thought about this. I mean, I saw the guys the other day with drone deer recovery. Sorry, I got talking on my mic, but saw the guys the other day with drone deer recovery. They were dropping corn from a drone and feeding deer that way. You need to
Yeah,
figure out something with the directional drilling where you can pop up and you know what I mean? That'd be something pretty cool.
yeah, that would be cool, and that's why honestly it would save with me getting into the woods and spooking the deer.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely.
With technology, you never know what might happen,
Yeah,
but
who knows in the
uh,
future what it'll come to.
right.
Anyway, how long have you been hunting?
Um, Honestly, as early as I can remember. I started going out with my dad, and that was the only person that ever I really got the chance to go with. Like all my grandpas had passed in an early age, so my dad took me out. I think the first time when I was in like third grade or fourth grade,
Wow.
and I don't know what age that would have been. If that, you know what? Yeah, it was third grade because in fourth grade I got my first buck. Um,
Oh,
yeah, so ever since I got that buck, the passion really started, but um, we got really busy with our company and stuff. So my dad kind of faded out of it. And once I was old enough to drive, I started going by myself. And that's when like everything changed for me. Like I just got fully into it and like fell in love. And ever since then, I've killed 5 bucks by myself. So
oh my God.
it
And
meant a
how,
lot. Yeah, it meant a lot going with my dad, but going by myself, like I've learned a lot from him, a lot from like YouTubers. So like I've
Yeah.
combined all that and it's really helped me out.
Oh, so you have used YouTube and
Yeah.
social media and stuff to help. Oh, that's so cool too.
There's nothing like your first deer by yourself. I remember that like it was yesterday. And like
Same.
when you put that work in it, and just not even sometimes it might not even be work, but when you're there and it's by yourself, you're soaking it in by yourself. You're just there with nature. It's cool. Really is cool.
Yeah, dude, that's an empowering thing.
Yeah.
Your first successful hunt by yourself is super empowering.
And then kind of just throw a little context because I'll be honest, we're from South Alabama. We get 3 deer a year, $3 a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you purchase one hunting license, and you can have an all game. You can hunt squirrel, rabbit, and anything you want, or deer. $3, and then so many does. But in different states, it's really unfortunate for some people. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you only get one shot at one. You got to make it count. And how many deer? How does the process of that in Ohio work? Just for the audience, if they're not for sure familiar.
So in Ohio, it changes honestly like every single year. They're always making changes. So this year, the county I'm in, which the buck was taken, like I said, just south of Columbus, and it's Fairfield County, Ohio. And this year, it's a 2 deer limit. So 1 buck, 1 doe, or 2 doe. And when I was growing up, when I was little hunting with my dad, it used to be 4 deer. So like it's always going up and down. Last year, I think it was 3. But yeah, every year in Ohio, it's only 1 buck, and it's always been that way since I was a little kid, which I like it because that 1 deer really kind of means something to you. Like you said, you got to make it count, and that 1 deer just is so special. But with me being like the whitetail hunter I am, it would be awesome to kill multiple a year. And I'm wanting to start going out of state just so I can keep harvesting some more. But the rules in Ohio, honestly, I'm not too fond of. I don't know how it is for you guys, but you check your deer in online now.
Yeah, we do.
Is that how it is for you guys?
You have an app now in Alabama. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how it is here too. And I remember when I was a little kid going to the gas station on a Saturday morning, and there'd be like $8 in the truck bed, and I don't know. I think that's kind of hurt the numbers because I feel like there's some illegal stuff going on now. But
yeah, and then also, I mean, bringing that, I mean, that was a good probably childhood, experience for you too.
Yeah,
having them losing my voice.
No, yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
That's a special moment too. You probably look forward to that as a kid.
I can't. I'm talked out today, but I remember those moments too. Taking them to the gas station, showing them off.
Don't cry.
Telling you, my dang voice is cracking.
Yeah, I just like showing them off there.
Yeah.
Aww,
and then if you just went and hung out and like watched, like hung out at the gas station, you'd see other ones and get to go talk to the hunters and kind of like interact with them almost and figure out what they did and everything like that. That's why I liked it too, just as a learning aspect as well.
Right.
Is there any sort of regulation around size of the buck that you can take for your 1 buck?
No. And last year the ODNR or whatever had gave me a random phone call and asked like input on the season and stuff and like what changes should be made. And I had mentioned something that to him, but how it goes, like little kids. I mean, if it's a little 4-point, that deer means the world to them.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And even older people. I mean, I know some people who hunt for years and they finally get that little basket rack 8 or something, and that deer's a monster to them. So it would be hard, I feel like, to put the stipulation on size, but it obviously would help with growing some more mature, bigger bucks. But
right.
Agreed.
I don't think that'll change.
I
think my voice is back.
With us? Yeah, I think I'm back.
Okay.
I was on a different planet there for a second. Sorry. So getting into this, let's just dive off in it. I know this is why everybody's wanting to listen. We've rambled enough. So let's talk about it. Let's see what
he doesn't
happened.
even have a name, which makes it hard to talk about. I can't believe you did him that disservice.
I know. Well, I was telling Cody earlier how I didn't want to copy, like, since he's so unique and different, I didn't want to copy other hunters with like all these names that they come up with, because my girlfriend gets upset with me because every night I'm watching YouTube videos, like trying to learn, trying to get into the hunting season, get ready. So like I see all these names and it's like I can't ever find anything different. But the guy who scored it through Buckmasters, Toby Hughes. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He named him Mr. Nasty Freak, and a lot of people have kind of went along with that. But I had originally started to call him Accident because I don't know if this is accurate, but some people have said that when a deer starts to like get like messed up on one side, it's due to like some injury or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, maybe that's what happened. That's why I was kind of going with accident, like something accidentally happened, like a shot or a car. But the other reason I thought accident fit is because when I had first got the first picture of him, all my coworkers saw the picture and I was just like, oh, what did I do? Like everyone knows about this buck.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, that was an accident. I did not want to show everybody. So
All right. All
whatever
right.
you guys like, we can call them.
I was about to say that's a lot more authentic to me. Sorry, Toby, we love you, but his new name is Accident. 1,000%.
Yeah.
That's too good. That's too good.
But so what's the latitude, the longitude where you killed?
No. We're not
No,
looking for all your secrets.
But what for real? Kind of just go into detail if you don't mind. Just kind of share if you had any history with this deer, or kind of how it unfolded for you.
So it's kind of cool. My parents had purchased a property for our company and was going to like build our new shop there and stuff. And there was an old house there, and the house was not livable. And we actually did a controlled burn with the local fire departments, and they like practiced and burned the house down. So with like all the grading we did and the house being burnt down, there's so much work going on over there. And my dad kept saying, hey, just throw a trail camera out there and see like what you're getting. And I was like, no, because I have a really good other spot that I've spent my past probably 5 years hunting at. But I just want to make him happy. And I was like, hey, if I can go throw a trail cam out and there's a decent buck, maybe he'll hunt here instead of where I hunt. So I did it. And that first week there was nothing really. And we were allowed to bait here in Ohio. So I had corn out, and I had bought a attractant from Antler King called Cotton Candy. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's like soybeans.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's soybeans and a bunch of other like fats and minerals and stuff. And I dumped that out just trying to hope to like first get that initial group of deer coming in. And I kept the next week I'd refreshen the pile and stuff. And that day I had pulled the camera or like SD card. It was just a cheap Walmart camera that like honestly, because like I said, I didn't expect to see anything, even though them woods that it connects to, I want to say it's like 500 acres of woods that my property connects to.
Wow.
So I knew that there's deer over there. I just didn't think that they would come from all that big part of the woods over to where I'm at. So that's kind of why I didn't have high hopes for the spot. But once I pulled that SD card and plugged it in, I was up in our shop, and all the guys were just kind of hanging out, and I was scrolling through, and he popped up. And that was the first time I'd seen the deer, first time I'd heard of the deer. And when I first saw the picture, I was like, holy crap, that's a big buck. And then I like clicked on it and like it, made it bigger. And I was like, oh my God. Like I wanted to immediately like cover the screen. And I was like, this deer might be like 200 inches.
Yeah.
Because he had velvet on at that time. And that's when, I mean, obviously they look bigger with the velvet.
Oh my gosh. That is so sad, ain't it? It feels like they lose 100 inches, 80 to 100 inches every time.
Oh yeah. So and when I saw that picture, I mean, as soon as I saw the picture, I was like, I'm getting this deer this year, even though I was like, reality, I'm probably not going to get him. Like, it's probably not going to happen, but I was losing sleep over this deer, literally.
Sounds so familiar, like someone else I know over here.
Yeah, I've got a deer right now. I'm after this.
I call it the fever because it literally keeps them up at night. How funny. Yeah. There are other goofy people that do that. That's so freaking cool though. It's also hilarious that you were doing that in hopes you could get your dad off your other track.
Well, and here's the thing. I had offered it. Like, I love my dad. Like I said, he got me into hunting. He's super busy with work, and I felt like I owed it to him to be out there doing the hunting in this spot because he's the one who bought the property initially for me and all that other stuff. And I was like, you need to get out there and hunt this deer. Like, I want you to get it. And he's like, no, I want you to get it. And it was back and forth. And finally he's like, seriously, I'm not going out. So that deer's just going to get shot by somebody else if you don't go out. So I caved, and it wasn't very hard to cave into this, but the trail camera pics, they were coming in so consistent too. Like, he was coming in every single night, 2 to 3 times a night. And it was getting to the point where I was waking up every 2 hours in the middle of the night checking my camera. Like my girlfriend was getting so mad because I just wasn't sleeping good because this deer literally consumed me.
Oh yeah. Again, I know how you feel. Sitting here adjusting your eyes, just can't even see at night. Yeah, 2 o'clock in the morning trying to see her.
Yeah. That is awesome.
Like it would make any difference if you looked when you first woke up in the morning. Why do y'all do that? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
You can't go out there at 3 a.m. and go do anything about it. So why are you looking?
I don't know. We just can't explain it. Like
sick for it. For it.
So all right. So you got pictures of him. He's obviously
pause. You don't have cell cameras?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I do, but I have them all at my other farm that I hunt at. This other farm that I hunt at, I've killed some really nice deer there. And last year I didn't get my target buck. It was a rut buck that just popped through. So I was like, all right, I got 2 shooters for next year that are going to be absolute studs. So I immediately, once season was over, like I said earlier, I got ready for next season and I had them cameras out probably in June. And I had 7 cell cams on one farm. I was like, I'm going to find out where this deer is sleeping, eating, everything.
So the track you killed an accident on, how big was it? Is it?
It's 8 acres, but it's probably only acre and a half, 2 acres of woods on the property.
Wow.
What the heck? And what is around it?
He said 500 acres.
I know, but 500 is just straight ag.
So no, actually it's not at all. And that's mostly Fairfield County is woods and ag fields. But so where it's at, the way it lays, there's a ginormous creek that kind of runs the property line. And that's like, I'm hunting on towards the road. So like, that's why I was telling you guys, I really didn't expect this deer to be coming there, but he was crossing the road on his bedding spots sometimes when he would switch beds. So it's like a natural funnel. So like it runs down and then the creek. So there's another creek dumps into it, which that creek isn't very big, but the big one that it dumps into, it's a ginormous creek, always has water. And the way the land falls, that funnel, the deer travel that funnel in the creek line. So.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. That's how they stay, man. I mean, they'll get in, we talked about that before, but they'll get in little 2-3 acre tracts and just live. As long as they have food, water, and cover, they're good. Now, when it comes to rut, obviously they're finding their ladies, but man, I've even had deer, big bucks that stay even without the ladies. I mean, they'll stay if they're comfortable and they've got everything they need, they'll stay. So that's pretty cool. So
you got them on camera, on a regular camera, got one of your cell cameras off your big tract of land because you're like, oh, this one's worth it.
Yeah.
And he kept you up at night after that. How long was it before season kicked off for you that you were taunted by accident?
So September 3rd was my first trail cam pick. And then our season opened up September, end of September. I'm not sure. I think the 30th.
Your poor girlfriend. Your poor girlfriend.
September 30th was the official day. And that Saturday, I had actually had my first, I shouldn't say it was an encounter. I almost had, it was close. I don't know how to really explain this because I don't want to give away my spot, but where I walked to my spot, I kept checking my trail cam app. And I was like, because I woke up that morning and on opening day, and I told my girlfriend, I was like, I got to go. Like, he's going to be there. And she was like, what? How do you know? Because I just got back from a trip in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was exhausted. It was a work trip, and I was thinking about sleeping in. But then when I woke up that morning, he had only came in once. And he minimum every other night came in 2 to 3 times a night. And I was like, he's got to come back and eat or drink, like something. So I got up, went down there, and I had got out probably 45 minutes before illegal shooting light, which typically I feel like is enough time. And I was slacking a little bit with this caliber deer. I should have got out with more time, but I kept checking the app and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's going to happen. I'm good. He's not there. Cause he would come sometimes right before illegal shooting light. And obviously I couldn't sneak in there when he was there. So I checked my app probably 4 times and he's not there. And I was like, okay, it's time to get in the stand. And I'm like 100 feet away and I hear something in the woods and I'm like, no way. I pull out my phone. He's standing right there at my tree stand.
Oh my
And so I
gosh.
just immediately sit down and don't move for like 30 minutes. And then I head back to my truck.
Wow. Thank
So
God for technology. I mean, seriously. And I mean,
all the time too about our tactic cams.
And people, you know, they call them, you know, like you have different hunters and I mean, they value different things, but you know, you hunting over bait, you're using cell cameras, you're using cameras in general. We get a lot of hate, a lot of, you know, support from it. But I mean, take it as you want, but that just saved you from busting that deer. And a deer like that, of that caliber, you have one shot and that's it. I mean, you're not gonna have multiple shots, at least down here in the South, I know. And it should be like that for about most all deer that I'm aware of. But wow.
Yeah, I got very lucky. That was a close call. And because like you said, I mean, had I walked to my stand, actually, I would have been in the open because I had my shooting lane and stuff. Like he would have saw me and probably not came back for a really long time. So, and it was a really foggy morning. So that helped me out a lot with, I think, staying kind of hidden. But after that incident, I put another cell cam down at that spot. So I had 2 cell cams in this little tiny area. And literally they're on trees just side by side, just turn different angles. Because I'm like, maybe my one camera's missing something. And that's when I found out he was crossing the road and bedding at a different spot. So that helped me out a lot. And actually that helped me out on the day I officially like took him. So
how many hunts or how many sits did it take before you finally connected with him?
4. Which was bittersweet, but because I like the chase and the challenge sometimes, but I mean, I wouldn't let this guy go like and hope for later. Like it was fun only being 4 hunts, but I've definitely had way longer seasons that are miserable.
I bet your girlfriend is so glad it was only 4 hunts.
Yeah, I told her this because
yeah, I mean, what are you going to go hunt now, raccoons? I mean, you have nothing else to hunt.
I mean, I hunt coyotes, so
coyotes.
That's
that's awesome.
Well, what happened on that?
Yeah, let's roll into
curious day.
So that day, I woke up. It was a morning hunt again, and I woke up and saw that he had only been there one time as well. I was like, all right, I know he's got to come back again because it was like at 3 or 4 a.m. And that my one new camera that I'd moved caught him heading towards the creek away from my property. I'm like, okay, so he left his one bed. He's either going to go back to that bed tonight or this morning, or he's going to come and at least get water and food this morning. So I know he's going to come back at some point, which that was me just kind of being confident. And also me just like using my patterning stuff, like through the cell cams, like knowing like what this deer typically would do. And sure enough, that morning, I was sitting there and I got up in the tree stand an hour early and I was as quiet as could be. I took my time because like I had told you guys, I really thought this was going to be the day. And on my cell out there had been a small buck and a doe there 10 minutes before I got there. And I was like, oh, great. Like, hopefully they're out of there by the time I get there. But at the same time, I was like, as early as I am, like, I don't think that they're going to get spooked. So I get to my tree stand, I tie my bow off so I can pull it up the tree. And sure enough, 2 deer took off running. And I was like, oh, great. Like, that might have been him. But I was like, I mean, I'm an hour early. Like, I'm not going to just go home. Like, I got to at least sit and see what happens today. So I climb up the tree and I get seated. And next thing I know, I hear a deer probably 50 yards away blowing at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, I know my scent is good. And then I start sitting there and I'm like, hold up. I smell something. And I smell my hands. And there's something that got on my hands. I don't know if it was from my string or my bow or something, but it was this very like odd smell. And it was so strong that I could smell it through my nose. And I'm like, if I can smell this, a deer's going to smell this. So I immediately tucked my hands in my jacket. And I was like, I'm just going to sit here as still as possible, quiet, not move, keep my hands tucked. And right as legal time came, I kept pulling my phone out and checking because I'm like, if he steps out the minute of legal time, I'm shooting him. Mm-hmm. And I kept checking. And finally, it was probably 10 minutes for legal time. And I was like, okay, I just need to leave my phone tucked. Like I shouldn't pull it out anymore. Like, oh no. But I kept getting antsy and I pulled it out again. And it was like 2 minutes to legal time. And I got a smell, and I'm like, all right, I'm just losing my mind. Like, what could I possibly be smelling? Like, it's not rut here in Ohio, so I know I don't smell a rutty buck. But the way the wind was blowing, it was coming from where they would typically come. So I'm like, it has to be a deer though, because of the way the wind direction is. And I sit there, and the ground, I can just see it getting brighter and brighter. I'm like, okay, I know it's legal time based off like when I saw my phone. And three doe come to my corn pile from where they typically don't come, which I thought was really odd. And I was like, oh boy, like this is weird. But I was like, I know he's with them. Like, I know it. And they come in, and he's not with them. And I'm like, okay, we're all good. Like, I'm not like getting beat up or anything yet. And I hear something to my right, and I'm like frozen. Like, I look out the corner of my eye, and there's another doe, and two of the other doe that came in front go and meet up with that doe, and they circle me. So like at that point, I'm like, dang, my scent is awesome. Like, they just walked right where I walked through. They didn't smell me. They came downwind. I was like, it's game on. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just staring forward because I didn't want to let these doe behind me or to my right distract me. And I'm just staring at that doe at the corn pile in front of me. And literally, he stepped out, and it's really thick over there. So it's not like one of the things where I could see him coming. Like, he popped out, and it was, oh, like, holy crap, got to get the bow up. Yeah. Because, like sometimes there'll be like that deer coming in, you're just anxiety building up and everything. Yeah. Because you see them come, and you're like,
oh yeah. The closer they get, as you're watching, you start to shake. But I totally agree with you. In the split second moments, you don't even have the time to shake.
Yeah. Which
like game time.
It was nice for my nerves, but at the same time, it's like I didn't get that feeling at first, because as soon as I saw him, I told myself I'm taking the first shot opportunity, because I've let some opportunities go at my target deer, because I told myself I'll get a better opportunity or better shot, which them I feel like are natural instincts of a good hunter. Like, if you're not confident, you got to just let it go.
For sure.
And as soon as he stepped up, I was like, I looked at the rack for half a second. I really didn't even have to, because I just knew. And I was like, I'm not even going to look at him. My eyes went from rack straight to body, because like I always have told myself, like, look at the rack later, enjoy it later. Like, you got to make this good shot. And so I immediately grabbed my bow, shot him. And when I had shot him, I have a crossbow, and I had just bought a compound this year. So I've got a lot of people judging me about that, but
I literally just did the same thing. No judgment from our end. Roll Tide.
I do love the compound. Honestly, I am having a blast with it. I just didn't want to make that my first compound bow kill, because I've never shot anything with it. And yeah, like you said, the pressure, and then like the nerves from a buck that caliber, like I just would have been like,
no, I swear I'm in the same boat. Like, don't feel that way at all. Cody, I mean, for years, I've even bought a bow like you have, and have told myself, I'm gonna put the crossbow away. I'm gonna get good at the bow. But the ethical hunter in me, and watching myself with a crossbow and how much I tremble, I am scared that if I drew back. So totally get it. No judgment.
And we talk about that too. I mean, the itch is on for whoever you are. I mean, a 4-point is a big deer to some people. A 200-inch is a big deer. A crossbow versus a rifle, or bow versus, I mean, a traditional. You can go any way you want.
Yeah.
And like I always say, and I said this in the last one, if you're having fun and you're enjoying it and doing and you're in outdoors, you're legal. That's another thing. If you're over corn, it don't matter. You're having fun and you're doing what you want to do. And, about 90% of that, if not probably 99% of that, is jealousy. So they're just jealous. So tell yourself that, and just understand. I mean, it is what it is.
I have no doubt. And hearing you say, I want to take my time, I'll never shoot a deer if I don't feel 100% confident. Like, that's the best mindset to have for any hunter, but especially a bow hunter. So kudos to you. Yeah. Excited to see what you do get with it.
Continue. Sorry.
Yeah. So when I'd made the shot, it's honestly kind of, I feel like a blessing in disguise, which I guess I need to backtrack a little bit. So the morning before, so I killed him on Saturday, October 7th at 7:14 a.m., which I forgot to throw that in there. It was 12 minutes after legal time. So it was actually pretty bright. And I could see really clear. So I should have threw that in there. But the day before, I had climbed down out of my tree stand, and my crossbow, I have to shoot to decock it.
Me too.
And yeah, it's a nice bow, but kind of annoying that I have to do that. But I went to shoot it when I got back home, and I looked down my scope, and my crosshairs are like sideways. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if he would have stepped out, like I immediately, like, I don't know what I would have done. So that day I resighted the bow in, and I was like, I'm going to give it a break this evening. And my little brother had a football game, so I was like, I got to go to that. This is a good reason to not go and everything. But I was like, I'm going to get it done tomorrow. So got it resighted in, and I was kind of pressed for time because I went to my other property and put corn out, changed batteries, stuff like that. So, and we don't work on Fridays, so Fridays are like my time to get all that stuff done. So that's awesome. But with that being said, I resighted it in, and I was dialed in at 30 to 40 yards, like perfect. And I was like, he's not going to be any farther than that. Like, that's all I need. And that day when I had shot him, with them crossbows being so fast, I couldn't see the arrow, like where it went. Like by the time I pulled the trigger and I look up from the bow,
it's gone, he's gone.
Yeah. So that kind of sucked. But when I had marked and got him to stop, I knew I was a little high, but I was so high in my tree stand that I was kind of thinking like, it's going to be a good shot. Yeah. So that's why I did what I did. And the way he ran off, it wasn't one of them like sprints, like it was just a run. And I just knew something was off. And so I sat there after I'd made the shot, and I almost fell on my tree stand because I was just shaking so bad, like trying to call my dad and my girlfriend and all my friends. And I'm just like, literally like, can barely even talk.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how crazy it was.
Who's the first one I'm going to call? And I've got to go. Yeah, I know. There's so many emotions that go in your head. And
it's the best feeling, though. Yeah, seriously,
it really is. It's the most like rewarding, and then hearing like the person you're calling's like reaction and stuff. And so, with that being said, though, I came home and didn't even check the arrow. I just left the spot alone. I was like, I don't want to push this deer. And so I go and talk to my dad, and I'm telling him what happened and how the shot went and everything. And I was like, if I missed high. Like, I know that's what happened. So I shoot it, and it's left and low. And I'm like, oh my, like, I'm just sick to my stomach. But I told my dad, I was like, but at the same time, like, at least I know since I aimed high, I shouldn't have missed. And so we're looking, and I'm doing research online. I'm calling other hunters like, hey, I was aiming here. This is what he did. This is where my crossbow's hitting. Like, what do you think? And I got basically the same thing from every person, which was liver or guts and intestines. And I didn't want to hear that, but liver can be a lethal kill. And based off what I read and how he reacted and how I shot, I was pretty sure it was liver. I mean, almost 90% positive. So we then go down and get the arrow, and this is at 9:30 in the morning. So I waited 2.5 hours before we even got the arrow. And when we grabbed the arrow, I could barely even find it because, like I said, with it shooting 400 feet per second, it was, I mean, that much was sticking out of the ground. It's got a bright yellow knock on the end. So I found it, and it just didn't look good, which the dirt was really damp and moist, and I think absorbed a lot of the blood, especially since I left it so long and being that far in the ground. So we backed out, and I then again called people, and which I'm not one of them hunters that's too proud and act like I know it all. Like, I love getting advice from people and just picking other people's minds. So it kind of made things worse, I think, though, because I let myself get more worked up and stressed out. And I'm a big Buckeyes fan. So I was trying to watch the Buckeyes game, and I couldn't even eat. And everyone was trying to like hype me up and have fun. I was like, I can't be happy at the moment. Like, I don't know what I just did. I don't know about this deer.
I got to get my suffering. Deer.
Yeah.
I mean, that. We know that.
Yeah.
To every hunter. I don't care. If you've been doing it long enough, you know everyone knows exactly what you're talking about, Dalton.
And I didn't want this story to go like this. And so we finally are sitting there and like still debating on whether to go out. And I'm like, let's just go after the game. Well, we're sitting there and it starts sprinkling. And I'm like, I immediately like start running around the house. I was like, all right, we got to go. And like my dad and one of my good friends go out with me. Well, probably one of my best friends, but he's dating my cousin. So we were all watching the game together, and he's actually tracked like the last, I think, 3 deer with me. So he's like my go-to hunting buddy.
Yeah.
But we go down there and we're looking around and we're not finding anything. And I'm just like, we're not even speaking. Like, we're all just looking around. No one's saying a word because like we don't think it's good. And they're all like, well, just go climb back up in the tree stand, like tell us like where you think he went. And I was like, I know he went here, but he might have went right here. So like we start looking this other spot and I find hair and I'm like, okay, like it's not a great sign, but like it's not white hair. It's like an exit hair, like up around here. And Grant's like, hey, here's blood. And then from there it was really light blood, but like we found it and it all worked out. But he only made it 30, 35 yards from where I shot him. And he was stiff as could be. He had been dead for hours on hours.
All that worrying for nothing. See?
Yeah. So, but when we were looking, like I was so focused on the blood trail, like I like want people away, like don't step on it. Like I am like eyes locked down, and me and my dad are doing that, and Grant's just like scanning. And he's like, guys, he's right there. And like we look up and I can't even see him when I look up because like I'm so still focused on the ground, and he was 7 yards in front of us.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's so great. So where did you shoot him? Where did you end up finding out you shot him?
It was liver. Well, I shouldn't say it wasn't straight through liver. It had just grazed liver. So I don't know. It was weird. I mean, right behind the liver's intestines and everything. So it must have been just enough to make it like that quickly. Because he did say like 4 hunters might get a different score on this deer. So like it's just so unique that no one really, I feel like, knew like what to do. So if you can see, there's still some velvet stuck on there. Oh. I mean, he's got some on the back right there.
And that like drops down. It's almost like
so it's actually considered a drop tine. That's not the whole base. So I didn't get that score for the whole base. But this front beam that's coming out right here, it's got burrs coming around it. So that's still considered part of that main beam, like almost like a brow tine. And then you can kind of see the burrs back behind it.
And for those that's maybe wondering, Toby Hughes is one of our best master scorers that we have in the whole company. I mean, he's in Ohio and he has scored. I don't want
for him to say that was hard to score.
He is the shizzle. I'll say that.
No wonder he named it Freak Nest.
Yeah, no wonder. It probably took him a while.
Is like how these points all laid down, and then these right here are the same length.
They are. I can see it when you turn it that way.
It's really weird how like
so is it classified? is it classified though as like a double main beam? Is that how Toby classified it?
That's kind of what we have all considered it and called it. But according to Toby, there's never a double main beam.
There's only one. That's how you score. They only have 2 main beams.
The 2, yeah. So, but like most people when they look at this call this a third beam right here. I mean, it's literally the same length.
It is. Yeah. Look at that. That is
crazy.
So freaking cool.
Well, how big are the bases? Because his mass is what looks impressive.
So his mass, I mean, all the way through the rack. I mean,
I would kill to hold that. We gotta go.
See that kicker off that. Oh my gosh, that's just.
So these are really cool too.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, those considered drop tines.
A little curl.
Yeah, that's what they're basically considered. I forget. I don't have the actual score sheet. It's on my phone and my photos, but I forget the actual number of abnormal points. But it was 100% considered a non-typical buck.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Insane.
Dude. So what kind of well, I haven't really talked about it. What did it score just for the viewer?
So Toby scored it right on the dot at 148.
148.
I don't even know where that number came from.
That's what I was about to say. 148.
That was what my last buck scored. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh my, Toby, you're fired. I'm like, you are so fired. If you do this podcast today, you're fired. That's not 148.
I don't know. I've got numbers all in my mind. It scored 189.
Yeah,
that's more like it.
That is a heck of a deer.
I'm sorry.
No, that's awesome. That's a good deer. And I think anybody, if you're in Alabama or in Ohio or anywhere you go, I mean, that is. Gosh,
that thing is a freak. That is so cool.
Yeah, and another thing with these rack characteristics, like we had said earlier, like how he got hurt, I don't know. Rumors last year was he was 200 inches as well, which, like I said, when I first saw him, I thought he was 200. Like when I first initially got the pictures and stuff, but people last year were saying he was 200 as well. And a lot of people when they came out said that they had trail cam pictures from last year and they'd send them to me, but no one has yet to send them to me, which is a little odd. But
I'm curious.
I'm on my camera too.
Yeah, I'm curious. Was he that same? Is that what or did they say he was that? Yeah.
That's what I'd like to know. Like, was he that messed up, or was he just a big 200?
I mean, and it could just be genetics. I mean, there's seen deer like that
are just
have genetics that are just freaks. Yeah, I love that though, man. The non-typicals, you can't beat.
You said you got him scored by 4 different people.
No, I didn't. Toby was saying that if I did, I would probably get scores.
Well, yeah, that's how hard he was. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only guy that scored him at the moment. And obviously Boone and Crockett, you got to do the 60-day waiting period and stuff.
Yeah, he'll have a lot of deductions from Boone and Crockett just for being a freak. That's why I can't, that system blows my mind. That's why I love BTR. I'm like, we should give a deer credit for everything they grow, even if it's not symmetrical. Yes.
100%. Like, you owe it to the deer too.
Yes. Like, why would you discredit him for, I know we're not supposed to say a double main beam, but you're discrediting him for growing a whole nother main beam essentially with drop tines attached to it.
I personally feel like Buckmasters will take over and be like really the only scoring system that anyone even cares about.
Right.
That's amazing to hear.
We hope so.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah. I honestly, my other deer, that score I was telling you, that was from Boone and Crockett. I didn't really think to get them Buckmaster scored until everyone this year was like, hey, you got to get them BTR scored. And I was like, what? And then everyone, that's all I heard from everybody. So if that tells you guys,
the word going.
Yeah. If that tells you guys anything, that I honestly probably had a dozen people say, you got to go get them BTR. And
that's so exciting.
And again, for all the listeners and you and anybody that wants to, I mean, we'll score a 20-year-old deer. We have all kinds. We have some really cool stories. We had a deer the other day. What did that deer score? It was a new record.
as I do, and if only some people really know how much I care about the animals and stuff, and just being out in the woods and the nature and like all the things that God creates.
That's awesome, dude. And that's what it's about. I mean, enjoying God's creation. You're exactly right. And I mean, that's why we do it. I mean, it's not all about, I mean, you can't eat the horns. You do it for food. I mean, you do it, but I mean, a lot of people do it for the sport too, and just to have the big rack. But again, being out there is what it's about. But Dalton?
Well, I gotta know. You said you like to watch YouTubers and learn from them. Who do you typically watch on YouTube?
Midwest Whitetail is one that I love. I follow a lot. I watch Deer Society.
They're good.
I watch a lot of Seek One, which I've heard a lot of drama about the new buck he got from Ohio.
Oh no! I hate to.
You guys not heard about it?
I haven't heard it, but he was a killer of a deer. That was a massive deer.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into all that. But
no, we don't have. We definitely don't.
Being that I'm from Ohio, there was some drama around that, but I do like his videos. I think it's cool what he does, going around to door to door.
And again, I just challenge all listeners and everybody, any hunter. I mean, we need to get better about that.
Dude, we're all hunters.
We're all hunters. Let's respect each other. I mean, if you're completely disobeying the law and you're just doing something
But if it's the difference between a crossbow and
or somebody shooting a deer in Atlanta downtown, I mean, dude, if you're legal and you're killing it, kudos. I mean, that's
awesome.
Let me see it. Let me see it. Let me hold it. Let's talk about
that's what this is about. We want this podcast to be about that. We want to bring hunters together. Yeah. We need that. This time and age, this industry desperately needs that, in my opinion. And I think
the world does.
Yes, it does.
It does.
But like, I feel like it's turned into a competition, not really like
it is. It's my deer.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like this deer, like I've had so many people reach out to me, and like all the love and support that I've got, like honestly means the world to me. Is like just like getting the deer, like that meant more than I can even put into words.
Right.
I'm so excited to get the mount done. I'm making a special pedestal for him, building it out of like old galvanized barn metal and woods. So it's going to look really cool.
So shoulder pedestal mount.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love those, man. You can't beat them.
Oh, yeah. You got to send us pictures of that.
It just takes up a lot of room in your house.
I know. That's what my dad, but so where I was telling you guys where I got that house burnt down, that's where I'm building my house. So
I figured that's what you too.
Yeah, I'm going to make a special area just for him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so bittersweet though. Cause he was traveling through there and then that's the place he laid and now the place he'll be at permanently.
That's exactly. Awesome. It all is bittersweet. Even harvesting that deer, it's like, I'm getting my sleep schedule back to normal, and like I'll still wake up and check, and it's like kind of sad. It's like, well, he's not there. But at the end of the day, like when you care that much, that's just what I go through. I guess
that's why you should keep doing it. That's so awesome. Have you thought about, or do you already, like, I love your mentality. You're great at expressing your thoughts and your values. Have you thought about sharing this type of stuff on YouTube yourself?
Actually, it's funny because me and my girlfriend went video camera shopping last weekend. So I want to start getting into it because with the passion that I have for it, I feel like I could do pretty good at it. Because I feel like sometimes if you want to do something, I mean, just like you guys' podcast, if you care that much about it, like it's going to do well.
Right.
So.
Right.
Aww.
Yeah. And if it don't, it don't. I mean,
and tell us if you get it up there.
Yeah.
So we can go watch.
Yeah. Heck yeah. But Dalton, dude, we gotta get off here. But man, heck of a deer. Congratulations. I mean, it really doesn't get much better than that. But again, we'll put any of your Instagram handles so you can go check his deer out. Also some more additional photos and stuff will pop in there. But we appreciate everybody for listening, Dalton. We appreciate you for getting on and your time in the evening. So
I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys. Like this meant the world to me, and I'm glad that people get to hear the story about this crazy deer called
Accident.
Yep.
Accident.
Yeah.
Tonight I will officially make an Instagram post about it. There's been so much attention on it that honestly I felt kind of selfish to make a post about it because everything's just been this deer, and I was like, if I post about this deer too on Instagram, like it's just going to be too much. So I've kind of let things die down. But yeah, with you guys saying that, I'll make a post tonight, and hopefully more of the world can see them.
Yes, you need people would be so inspired by you. Seriously,
love it. Guys.
Thank you.
Happy hunting, dude, and we wish you the best.
You too. Keep me updated on your buck.
I will.
I'll keep an eye out. And I'm excited to listen to the rest of you guys' podcasts.
I've been dying right now as we're on here. I'm getting pictures. It's not him. It's not him. It's not him. He hasn't frequented it. He hasn't been in the area now for about 3 days. So I don't know if he's eating white oak acorns or if he's just gone or killed. I don't know.
Look what you've done. Why did you just walk me into
Good luck to both of you, though. For real. I'm pulling for you guys.
Thanks, Dalton.
We appreciate Dalton.
Yep. Take care.
Roll Tide, no Buckeyes.
Oh, go Bucks. God bless you guys.
See you, buddy.
See ya.